You you brought up two major issues. You bring up the issue of competence, and then you raise the question, what's happening in this country? Well, let's assume that the person who said they reached out to you, but in fact did not, was about 25 years old. That means they were born about you're born about 1999 or 2000. They were raised with a cell phone in their hand. They were raised in a milieu, in an environment where they simply had to press an icon and they had answers to their questions. They were raised in an environment where pressing an icon would tell them whether or not their grammar was correct, whether or not spell check were correct. That is, they came to believe that was a help, when in fact it was a horrible, horrible hindrance. It prevented them from learning exactly the kind of skills that you're highlighting. Skills about relating to a reader, relating to a listener, skills about understanding the situation. And in fact, your scenario is not only about communication skills, it's also about understanding the severity of the message. You were a patient that needed valuable information and you weren't getting it. So regardless of the fluency of the message, you weren't getting the essence of the message. It was not only English malpractice. I see it as almost medical malpractice.
Yeah, well, it is a real challenge in the United States today. As a professor, I have been shocked, especially with my younger students, the first or second year students. They do not appear to have really had the type of structured education that I had growing up, and that I think both of you did. And one of the things that I think is very much missing is I have begun assigning short research papers some of my classes. I've got students who have been admitted to this private college who have never done a research paper through high school and do not know how to do footnotes or endnotes, do not know how to reference stuff from the library and stuff like that. But I am hearing from some of my fellow professors, and particularly a finance professor, by the way, Lyle, that he just assumes that they know nothing. I mean, starts from zero, which means that the courses at the college level, if you assume that, you're teaching a college course that's half of the course is going to be a high school remedial course in math and statistics and things like that many of us had in our first year of college, but were set up for it by having good math skills and things leaving high school. So I am concerned, and I know in some of the schools today they're talking about taking the cell phones away as a way of getting the students to focus in the classroom, because distraction is a big issue too.
I have an experience you two I think will enjoy. I taught leadership and communication in a master's accounting class. So these were MBA students who were getting a master's in accounting. So they come in with a very, very strong quantitative background. They can multiply two-digit numbers in their head and they'd get them right. And the first meeting we had, I said, okay, you're all going to give an impromptu speech. And I thought the class was going to have a fit. I thought they were going to call 911. I said, all I want you to do is talk to your colleagues about some certain issues related to accounting. And to a person, they said, but we don't have our PowerPoint in front of us. How can we do that? That's what they said. How can we talk without our PowerPoint in front of us? And I said, well, I want you to know generations of MBA students did it before you, and you will do it in my class. Knowing something is one thing. Being able to communicate what you know is very, very different. And if you want to succeed in society, you have to go beyond knowing something. You have to communicate what you know in a way that people will see it as knowledgeable and respectful and as meeting their needs. And what's compounding the problem, back to your question, Dennis, about what's happening in our world and of competency, what's compounding the problem is the introduction of artificial intelligence and Chat GPT and the other software packages where a student can simply say, write me an essay on topic X, and they press the button and out comes a 10, 15-page report on X, and they turn it in. Exactly. David, you are still a professor. I retired 6 years ago, but I am hearing horror stories about students turning in papers that they didn't even write.
I am very concerned about it. And one of the solutions, papers that I mentioned earlier, are personal. In other words, the question is on business ethics, and it is, what is the basis for your personal ethical guidelines, and where did that come from? Out of, say, 80 papers, I will get at least 20 of those papers will come in, and I will read them and send them back to the student and say, this paper does not even fit the assignment. Now, I don't know if that's because they tried to use AI. AI is still pretty new. It's not readily available to everybody. It's out, but it's not totally available. So I think it will be an increasing problem in the future. In fact, I've also begun to build into my syllabi that use of AI is not permitted for school assignments. And we're going to fine tune that, because they can use AI in an in-depth research paper. If you wanted to get started on a topic, you could say, hey, AI, tell me a little bit about topic X. That's legitimate. That's a fair use. But then they still have to go and do the homework. So separating the starter point using AI from what we want them to do as researchers, that's going to be indeed a growing challenge as we go forward, because, you know, AI is all around us and it's come very fast.